I was standing in the fitting room adjusting my tie in front of the mirror when I felt this overwhelming sense of gratitude wash over me. In 2 weeks, I would be marrying Kayla, the woman I had loved for 3 years. Everything was perfect. The venue was booked. The guests had confirmed our honeymoon to Italy was planned down to the last detail. I thought I was the luckiest man alive. But there was this tiny voice in the back of my head, this small unease about her bachelorette party in Miami. I had no idea that in 72 hours I would be standing in front of a wedding venue for a completely different reason. Before I tell you how everything fell apart, let me know in the comments where you are watching from, and if you have ever had your trust shattered right before a major life event. Hit that like button and subscribe, because this story takes turns you will not see coming. Now, let me take you back to where the cracks first started to show. My name is Graham. I am 28 years old, and I work as an architect in Denver, Colorado. I have always been the kind of guy who believes in doing things right. Stable career, good relationship, with my family, solid group of friends. I am not the type to jump into things without thinking them through. So when I met Kayla 3 years ago, I knew I had to be patient. It happened at this little coffee shop downtown. I was working on some blueprints for a project, and she walked in wearing this yellow sundress that just lit up the whole room. She ordered a caramel latte, and when the barista called her name, I heard it for the first time. Kayla. Something about the way she smiled when she thanked him made me want to know her. I am not usually the guy who walks up to strangers, but something told me I would regret it if I did not. So I did. I introduced myself, made some awkward joke about how architects and teachers both build things just in different ways. She laughed. That laugh, man, it was genuine. We talked for 2 hours straight. She told me about her job teaching 3rd grade, how much she loved seeing kids learn to read, how she wanted to make a difference in their lives. She said because if she were in my position, she would want someone to tell her the truth. Then she dropped another bomb. She said Melissa had told the group not to say anything to me, that it would just cause unnecessary drama. That was when I knew this was serious. I thanked Amanda for calling and hung up. I sat there in the dark, my mind racing. Part of me wanted to call Kayla right then and scream at her, demand answers. But another part of me knew I needed proof before I did anything. She would wake up early to prep lesson plans, and I would make her coffee before heading to the office. We had our routines, our inside jokes, our plans for the future. 2 months ago, I took her back to that same spot in the mountains where we watched our first sunrise together. I got down on one knee and asked her to marry me. She said yes without hesitation. We cried, we laughed, we called our families. It was one of the best days of my life. Planning the wedding was surprisingly easy. We picked a beautiful venue overlooking the mountains, hired a photographer Kayla had been following on Instagram for years, and booked a band that played at my cousin's wedding. Both our families got along great. My mom and her mom went dress shopping together. My dad and her dad bonded over their shared love of fly fishing. Everything was falling into place. Then came the topic of bachelor and bachelorette parties. Kayla's older sister, Melissa, suggested a trip to Miami for the girls. At first, Kayla seemed hesitant. She told me she was not really the partying type, that she would be just as happy with a spa day in Denver. But Melissa kept pushing, saying it was her last hurrah as a single woman, that she deserved to let loose a little. Eventually, Kayla agreed. She invited 5 of her closest friends to join her and Melissa for a long weekend in South Beach. I was supportive. Why would not I be? Kayla had always been responsible, always made good decisions. I trusted her completely. Plus, I had my own plans. Derek, my best man and best friend since high school, organized a fishing trip to the mountains with my younger brother Brad and a few buddies. Nothing crazy, just good food, cold beer, and terrible jokes around a campfire. The night before she left, we stayed up late talking about the wedding. She was excited but also nervous. She kept asking me if I was sure about everything, if I was ready for this. I told her I had never been more sure of anything in my life. We fell asleep, holding each other, and I kissed her goodbye at the airport the next morning. She promised she would text me every day. I believed her. The first day went exactly as expected. Kayla sent me pictures of the beach, the hotel pool, Their dinner at some fancy seafood restaurant. Everything looked fun and innocent. I texted her goodnight, told her I loved her. She said she loved me too. I went to bed feeling content. But then the second day started to feel different. Her texts became less frequent. When I messaged her asking how her day was going, it took her hours to respond. And when she did, her answers were short. Just a quick, good or having fun. No details, no enthusiasm. It was not like her. By the evening, I had not heard from her in over 6 hours. I tried calling, but it went straight to voicemail. I told myself she was probably just busy, caught up in the festivities. His hands were on her waist, pulling her close. She had her arms around his neck. They were staring at each other with this look I recognized because she used to look at me that way. And then it happened. They kissed. It was not a quick peck. It was long, deep, the kind of kiss that makes it clear there is history, there is desire. I felt like I was going to be sick. I watched it again, hoping I had misunderstood, hoping it was someone else. But it was her, no question. I called Melissa to check in, asking if everything was okay with Kayla. Melissa's response was almost too cheerful. She said Kayla was having a blast, that I had nothing to worry about. But something in her tone felt forced, like she was trying too hard to convince me. I tried to push the worry out of my mind and focus on work, but it was impossible. Every time my phone buzzed, I hoped it was Kayla sending me something that would make me feel better. My brother Brad took me on a week-long road trip through national parks, just the two of us. We did not talk about Kayla much. We just drove, hiked, and let the open road clear my head. During that trip, something shifted. I stopped feeling angry and started feeling relieved. The more I thought about it, the more I realized how lucky I was that this happened before the wedding and not after. Imagine if I had found out a year into our marriage. Imagine if we had kids. I had met her once at a birthday party, but we were not close. Her voice was shaky, like she was nervous about what she was about to say. She told me there was a guy with them. His name was Justin. Apparently he went to college with Kayla, and they ran into him at a bar on the first night. Since then, he had been hanging around the group. Amanda said Justin and Kayla had been spending a lot of time together, going off on their own, laughing at inside jokes that nobody else understood. When Amanda asked Kayla about it, Kayla brushed it off, saying Justin was just an old friend and it was nice to catch up. But Amanda did not buy it. She said the way they looked at each other, the way they touched each other's arms when they talked, it all felt like more than just friendship. She told me she was not sure if anything physical had happened, but she thought I deserved to know what she was seeing. I asked her why she was telling me this. She said because if she were in my position, she would want someone to tell her the truth. Then she dropped another bomb. She said Melissa had told the group not to say anything to me, that it would just cause unnecessary drama. That was when I knew this was serious. I thanked Amanda for calling and hung up. I sat there in the dark, my mind racing. Part of me wanted to call Kayla right then and scream at her, demand answers. But another part of me knew I needed proof before I did anything. I could not just accuse her, based on what someone else saw. I needed to be sure. I opened my laptop and started searching. I typed in Kayla's name and Justin's name together, adding the word college. A few old photos popped up on Facebook. They were tagged in some group pictures from a campus event about 5 years ago. In one of them, they were standing close together, his arm around her shoulders. She had never mentioned him. Not once in 3 years. I went to Instagram next and found Justin's profile. It was public. I scrolled through his recent posts and stories. Sure enough, he was in Miami. His latest story showed a view of the ocean with the caption, "Unexpected reunion." My stomach twisted. Then I saw it. In one of his stories from earlier that day, there was a group shot. I could not see faces clearly, but I recognized Kayla's bracelet, the one I gave her for her birthday. She was wearing it in the photo, standing right next to him. I could not sleep that night. I kept checking my phone, hoping Kayla would call or text, hoping she would say something that would make all of this go away. She did text me the next morning. "Miss you, baby. Cannot wait to see you." It felt hollow. Derek came over that afternoon. I showed him everything. The texts from Amanda, the photos, the Instagram stories. He was livid. He told me I needed to confront Kayla, but I shook my head. I told him I wanted to wait to see what would happen when she got back. If there was something going on, the truth would come out eventually. And when it did, I wanted to be ready. The third day of Kayla's trip started like the previous one. Sparse texts, vague responses, nothing that made me feel any better. I was at work trying to focus on a design presentation when my phone buzzed. It was a message from Melissa. My heart stopped when I saw it was a video file. It made me grateful. Grateful that I got out when I did. 3 months after the breakup, I heard through mutual friends that Kayla and Justin were dating. That stung a little, I will not lie, but it also confirmed everything I needed to know. She did not cheat because she was drunk or made a mistake. She cheated because she wanted to, and now she was living with the consequences of that choice. I threw myself into my work. I took on bigger projects, pushed myself creatively. His hands were on her waist, pulling her close. She had her arms around his neck. They were staring at each other with this look I recognized because she used to look at me that way. And then it happened. They kissed. It was not a quick peck. It was long, deep, the kind of kiss that makes it clear there is history, there is desire. I felt like I was going to be sick. I watched it again, hoping I had misunderstood, hoping it was someone else. But it was her, no question. In the background, I could hear Melissa's voice. "Oh my God, you two." She was laughing. She knew. She was right there, and she knew. I sat there for I do not know how long, just staring at my phone. My chest felt tight, like I could not breathe. Everything I thought, I knew. Everything I believed about Kayla, about us. It was all crumbling in front of me. My phone rang. It was Melissa. She must have realized she sent the video to the wrong person. I did not answer. She called again. And again. Then the text started. "Graham, I am so sorry. That was a mistake. Please let me explain." I turned my phone off. I left work early and drove straight to Derek's place. I did not trust myself to be alone. When he opened the door and saw my face, he knew. I showed him the video without saying a word. He watched it, his jaw clenched, and then he looked at me. "What are you going to do?" he asked. I did not have an answer yet. Part of me wanted to get on a plane to Miami and confront her right there. But another part of me, the part that was thinking more clearly, knew that would be a mistake. I needed to be smart about this. I needed to be in control. Derek and I spent the rest of the evening planning. He told me I had every right to call off the wedding, to walk away and never look back. But I did not want to just walk away. I wanted everyone to know what she did. I wanted her to face the consequences of her choices in front of the people who mattered. Over the next 2 days, while Kayla was still in Miami, I made calls. I contacted the wedding venue and explained the situation. They were surprisingly understanding and agreed to cancel without charging the full penalty, since it was a case of infidelity. I called the photographer, the caterer, the florist. Most of them were sympathetic. I had already paid for 60% of everything, and while some costs were non-refundable, I was able to get back a decent amount. Then I made the hardest call. I called my parents and told them what happened. My mom cried. My dad was furious, not at me but at Kayla. They both supported my decision to cancel everything. I asked them to keep it quiet for now. I had one more move to make. I texted Kayla on her last day in Miami. I kept my tone normal, even friendly. "Hey, hope you had a great trip. When you get back tomorrow, come over to my place for dinner." I invited both our families. "I have something important I want to share with everyone." She responded almost immediately. "That sounds wonderful. I cannot wait to see you. I have so much to tell you about the trip." I bet she did. Kayla's flight landed at 4 in the afternoon. She texted me from the airport saying she would shower and change at her parents' house before coming over. I told her to take her time. I needed to make sure everything was ready. By 6, both families started to arrive. My parents came first, followed by my brother Brad. They knew what was about to happen, and the tension in the room was thick. Then Kayla's parents walked in, cheerful and unsuspecting. Melissa arrived last, and the moment she saw me, her face went pale. She knew. Kayla showed up at 6:30, looking radiant in a light blue dress. She hugged me tight, kissed me on the cheek, and told me how much she missed me. I smiled and told her I missed her too. It took everything in me to keep my composure. We all gathered in the living room. I had set up my laptop connected to the TV, but nobody questioned it. Kayla sat next to me on the couch holding my hand. Her mom was talking about how excited she was for the wedding, asking if we had finalized the seating chart. I let her talk. Then I stood up. The room went quiet. "Thank you all for coming tonight," I said. "I know this was last minute, but I needed everyone here because I have something important to share." Kayla looked up at me, her expression a mix of curiosity and confusion. "What is it, honey?" I turned to her. "Before I do that, Kayla, I want to give you a chance to tell me about your trip. Is there anything you think I should know?" Her smile faltered just a little. "It was great. We had so much fun." I was standing in the fitting room adjusting my tie in front of the mirror when I felt this overwhelming sense of gratitude wash over me. In 2 weeks, I would be marrying Kayla, the woman I had loved for 3 years. Everything was perfect. The venue was booked. The guests had confirmed our honeymoon to Italy was planned down to the last detail. I thought I was the luckiest man alive. My mom started crying. The room erupted. "Kayla, what the hell is this?" her dad shouted. She turned to me, tears streaming down her face. "Graham, please, I can explain. It was a mistake. I was drunk. I did not mean for it to happen." I pulled my hand away from hers. "A mistake? You call that a mistake? You kissed another man, Kayla, 2 weeks before our wedding. And your sister," I looked at Melissa, she was right there. She knew. She recorded it. "And none of you thought I deserved to know." Melissa tried to speak. "Graham, I was going to tell you after the wedding. I did not want to ruin things. You did not want to ruin things." I laughed bitterly. "You already did. The wedding is off. I canceled everything yesterday." The room fell silent. Kayla looked like she had been slapped. "What? No. Graham, please. We can work through this. I love you. It was just one stupid moment." I shook my head. If this story resonated with you, hit that like button and subscribe for more real-life stories. Share this with someone who needs to hear that choosing yourself is never the wrong choice. Thank you for listening. And remember, your worth is not determined by someone else's inability to see it. Take care of yourselves out there. Her dad nodded slowly, his face full of shame. "We will make it right, Graham. I am so sorry." I looked at Kayla one last time. "I need you to move out of the apartment by the end of the week. It is in my name. You can stay with your parents." She tried to reach for me, but I stepped back. "Please, Graham, do not do this. I made a mistake, but I love you. I want to marry you. I do not want to marry someone I cannot trust," I said. "We are done." The next few weeks were a blur. Kayla tried to contact me every single day. Calls, texts, emails, even showing up at my office. I blocked her number and told building security not to let her in. Her parents reached out through my parents, apologizing repeatedly and promising to reimburse me for every cent. True to their word, they did. Within a month, I had been paid back for everything I lost, in deposits and cancellations. The hardest part was not the money or the logistics. It was the emotional fallout. I told him I wanted to wait to see what would happen when she got back. If there was something going on, the truth would come out eventually. And when it did, I wanted to be ready. The third day of Kayla's trip started like the previous one. Sparse texts, vague responses. Nothing that made me feel any better. I was at work trying to focus on a design presentation when my phone buzzed. It was a message from Melissa. My heart stopped when I saw it was a video file. One moment, Amanda told me you and Justin were together the whole trip. This was not just a drunken mistake. This was a choice you made over and over again. Her dad turned to her. "Is that true?" She could not look at him. That was all the answer he needed. I addressed her parents directly. "I paid for 60% of this wedding. I have already handled the cancellations and I expect to be reimbursed for the losses I incurred because of your daughter's actions. The betrayal would have been so much worse. I also started to see the cracks that were always there, but I chose to ignore. The way she would get defensive when I asked about her day. The way she kept her phone face down when we were together. The way she never wanted me to meet some of her college friends. I had written it all off as normal behavior, but maybe it was not. Maybe Justin was not the first time she strayed. Maybe I just caught her this time. That thought did not make me sad. It made me grateful. Grateful that I got out when I did. 3 months after the breakup, I heard through mutual friends that Kayla and Justin were dating. That stung a little, I will not lie. But it also confirmed everything I needed to know. She did not cheat because she was drunk or made a mistake. She cheated because she wanted to. And now she was living with the consequences of that choice. I threw myself into my work. I took on bigger projects, pushed myself creatively. I stepped out of the conference room and went to the bathroom, locking myself in a stall. My hands were shaking as I pressed play. The video was dark and shaky, clearly filmed in a nightclub. The music was loud bass thumping in the background. I could hear people laughing and talking. The camera panned across the dance floor, and then it focused on 2 people, Kayla and a man I assumed was Justin. They were dancing. But it was not just dancing. Not the version of me that was planning a wedding and a future with someone who did not deserve it, but the version of me that knew my worth and refused to settle for less. I am not going to lie and say I am completely over it. There are still nights when I think about what could have been about the life we had planned. But those moments pass quickly, because I remind myself of what I would have lost if I had stayed. My self-respect, my dignity, my ability to trust. I learned that betrayal does not just hurt because of what the other person did. It hurts because it forces you to question everything you thought you knew. But it also teaches you something invaluable. It teaches you that you are stronger than you think. That you can walk away from something you thought you needed and realize you are better off without it. I do not hate Kayla anymore. I do not wish bad things on her. I just do not think about her much at all. She made her choice, and I made mine. I chose myself. And that is something I will never regret. Sometimes the worst betrayals lead you to the best decisions. I walked away with my dignity intact, and that is worth more than any wedding could ever be. So let me ask you, have you ever had to make a tough decision to protect your own peace? Have you ever walked away from something everyone else thought you should fight for? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I designed a community center that won an award from the city. I reconnected with old friends I had lost touch with. I started running again, something I used to love but gave up because Kayla thought it took too much of my time. I traveled to places I had always wanted to see but never did because she was not interested. Slowly, I started to feel like myself again.